The familiar aroma of rosemary and garlic from the roast chicken usually filled our Sunday dinners with a sense of warmth and tradition. It was my anchor in a world that seemed to be spinning faster every year. My husband, David, was halfway through a story about his golf game, and my son, Liam, was listening politely, occasionally nodding. Across from me, however, my daughter-in-law, Chloe, was in a world of her own. Her fork had been pushing the same piece of roasted potato around her plate for the last 10 minutes. Her head was bowed, her blonde hair falling like a curtain around her face, obscuring it from view. The only thing that seemed to have her attention was the pale blue light emanating from her phone, held just below the edge of the dining table. It wasn't just a quick glance at a notification. It was an intense, unwavering focus that felt like a wall between her and the rest of us. "Chloe, honey, is everything all right? You've barely touched your food," I said, trying to keep my tone light, a gentle invitation back to our family circle. She flinched slightly, as if my voice had startled her. "Oh, yes, sorry, Sarah, it's delicious, just a long week at work." She offered a small, unconvincing smile that didn't reach her eyes before they darted back to the screen. Liam shot me a look, a silent plea to let it go. "She's been swamped with that new project," he added, trying to smooth things over. But I could see the unease in his own eyes. This wasn't just work stress, it felt different, heavier. The clinking of cutlery seemed to get louder in the ensuing silence, the air thick with unspoken questions. I was about to ask if she wanted me to pack her dinner to go when it happened. A sharp, audible gasp escaped her lips. Her head snapped up, and for the first time all evening, her full attention was on us. But her eyes were wide with a look of pure, unadulterated shock. They were shimmering, welling up with tears that began to spill over and trace paths down her pale cheeks. Before any of us could react, she pushed her chair back so hard it scraped loudly against the hardwood floor. She stood up, her body trembling, one hand covering her mouth as if to stifle a sob. She didn't look at Liam, didn't look at me. She just turned and ran. We heard the front door slam shut, the sound echoing through the now silent house, leaving behind a plate of cold food and a gaping hole of confusion. The slam of the front door echoed in the dining room, a sharp, violent sound that replaced the low hum of our conversation. For a second, no one moved. The fork David had been lifting hung in midair. The remnants of my lovingly prepared roast chicken sat on our plates, suddenly looking pale and unappetizing under the warm lights. The silence was heavy, thick with unanswered questions. Liam was the first to break the spell. His chair scraped harshly against the hardwood floor as he shot to his feet. "I've got to go after her," he said, his voice a tight knot of confusion and panic. He didn't even look at us, his eyes fixed on the door Chloe had just burst through. He grabbed his keys from the small ceramic bowl by the entryway and was gone, the door closing with a soft click behind him, a stark contrast to Chloe's frantic exit. "What in the world was that?" David finally asked, placing his fork down with a clatter. He looked at me, his brow furrowed. "Did they have a fight before they came?" "I don't think so," I replied, my own mind racing. I pushed my plate away, my appetite completely gone. They seemed fine when they arrived. A little quiet maybe, but not angry. I replayed the last hour in my head. Chloe's vacant stare, her thumbs scrolling endlessly on her phone. It wasn't anger I saw in her face right before she fled, it was devastation. Pure, soul-crushing shock. "It has to be something she saw on that phone," I said, more to myself than to David. Maybe bad news. A friend from back home in Seattle? An accident? Each possibility felt plausible, yet somehow inadequate to explain the raw panic in her eyes. David sighed, running a hand through his graying hair. "Could be work. That new project has her wound up tighter than a drum." We sat in silence for what felt like an eternity, the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall counting off each agonizing second. Outside, the Chicago sky had deepened from a dusky orange to an inky blue. 15 minutes passed, then 20. With every minute, the knot in my stomach tightened. Finally, we heard the front door open again. Liam stepped inside, alone. The hopeful look on my face must have dissolved instantly when I saw his. He looked defeated, his shoulders slumped. "Her car is gone," he said, his voice hoarse. "I drove around the block a few times, but she's gone." He held up his phone. "And she's not answering. It goes straight to voicemail." "Straight to voicemail?" David repeated, standing up. "Maybe her battery died. Or she turned it off," Liam countered, his voice trembling slightly. He looked from me to his dad, his eyes wide with a fear that mirrored my own. "Dad, she never, ever turns her phone off. Something is wrong. Something is terribly wrong." The silence in our living room was a physical weight, pressing down on us. David and I sat frozen on the sofa while Liam paced the length of the rug, his phone pressed to his ear, a muscle twitching in his jaw. The half-eaten roast on the dining table seemed to mock us with its forgotten warmth. Every few seconds, Liam would hang up and redial, the brief silence punctuated by the faint, repetitive tones of the call failing to connect. "Still voicemail," he finally choked out, his voice raw with a mix of anger and fear. "It never, ever goes to voicemail. She's meticulous about her phone's battery. What if something happened? What if she crashed?" "Son, let's not let our minds go there just yet," David said, his voice a low rumble of attempted calm. "The roads are clear, the weather is fine. Let's think logically. Who would she call if she was upset? What about her best friend, Jessica?" Liam's head snapped up as if jolted by an electric current. "Yes, Jessica, of course." He fumbled with his phone, his fingers shaking as he scrolled through his contacts. He found the name and pressed call, putting it on speaker. The phone rang once, twice, a third time before a cheerful voice answered. "Hey, Liam, what's up?" "Jess, it's Liam. Is Chloe with you?" "Did she call you?" he asked, the words tumbling out in a rush. There was a pause on the other end. "Chloe? No, I haven't heard from her since yesterday. We were just texting about that new coffee shop. Is everything okay? You sound weird." Liam's face fell, the last flicker of hope draining from his eyes. She was here for dinner and she just ran out. Crying, we don't know where she went and she's not answering her phone." "What? That doesn't make any sense," Jessica said, her voice now laced with concern. "She was fine yesterday. A little stressed about a work deadline, but nothing major. Let me try calling her. I'll text you the second I hear anything. Please keep me updated." The call ended, plunging the room back into a heavier, more desperate silence. The work excuse felt flimsy, a paper-thin explanation for a reaction this severe. My gaze drifted to the corner where Chloe had left her canvas tote bag, the one she carried everywhere. "Liam," I said softly, pointing, "her bag." He stared at it as if seeing it for the first time. He crossed the room in 2 strides and knelt, pulling it open. Inside, among a wallet, keys, and a paperback novel, was her tablet. He pulled it out, his thumb hovering over the power button. The screen lit up, unlocked. The last open application was a web browser. A single tab was open, showing a real estate website, but it wasn't for homes in our area. The bold heading at the top of the page read, "1-bedroom apartments for rent in Austin, Texas." The screen of the tablet cast a cold, blue light on our faces, illuminating the silence that had fallen over the dining room. The words Austin, Texas seemed to mock us from the real estate listing. For a moment, nobody moved. The air was thick with a new kind of dread, sharper, and more personal than the fear of an accident. "No," Liam whispered, his voice cracking. He shook his head, a gesture of pure denial. "No, this is a mistake. It has to be. Maybe she was looking for a friend, or for work, a project." He looked from me to David, his eyes pleading for us to offer an explanation that made sense, one that didn't involve his wife planning a secret life 1,000 miles away. David cleared his throat, his usual steady demeanor strained. "A 1-bedroom, Liam? Did she mention any friends moving to Austin?" Liam's face crumpled. "No, of course not." He snatched the tablet back, his fingers swiping frantically across the screen. "There has to be something else. An email, a message, something." His desperation was a physical force in the room. He navigated away from the real estate site and opened the browser's history. My heart hammered against my ribs as the list loaded. It was a digital roadmap of betrayal. Graphic design jobs, Austin. best neighborhoods in Austin for singles, how to break a lease in California. Each search query was a sledgehammer blow to the foundation of my son's marriage. Liam stopped scrolling, his breathing shallow. He clicked on a link to a popular job search website. Chloe's profile was right there, active and recently updated. Under the job-seeking status, it was flagged as actively applying to several firms in Austin. One application was marked as viewed by a recruiter just that afternoon. That was it. That must have been the notification she saw. Not bad news, but good news. A sign that her escape plan was working. Liam made a choked sound, a mix of a gasp and a sob. The tablet slipped from his numb fingers and clattered onto the table. He stumbled back, sinking into a dining chair as if his legs could no longer support him. He buried his face in his hands, his shoulders shaking with silent, racking sobs. The carefully constructed image of his happy life had been obliterated in the space of 10 minutes. For a moment, I was paralyzed by my own swirling emotions. Fury at Chloe, pain for my son. But seeing him so utterly broken, I pushed my own feelings aside. I went to him, wrapping my arms around his shaking frame, offering the only comfort I could. The simple, solid presence of his mother as his world fell apart. The silence in the dining room was heavy, broken only by the quiet hum of the refrigerator and Liam's ragged breaths. The plates of half-eaten pot roast and cold mashed potatoes sat on the table like artifacts from another lifetime, a life that had ended less than an hour ago. My husband, David, sat rigidly in his chair, his face a mask of disbelief. But my eyes were on Liam. The initial wave of soul-crushing grief was beginning to recede, and in its place, a storm was gathering. His knuckles were white where he gripped the edge of the table. "It doesn't make sense," he muttered, his voice raspy. He pushed himself away from the table and began pacing the length of the room, a caged animal. "A job offer? That's it. You don't just blow up your entire life for a job offer." His sorrow was curdling into anger, a desperate need for a reason that went deeper than logistics. He stopped pacing and snatched the tablet from the table, his movements sharp and jerky. His thumbs flew across the screen. "There has to be a letter, an email, something." "Liam, honey, maybe you should put that down for a bit," I said softly, my own anger simmering just beneath the surface. I wanted answers as badly as he did, but watching him torture himself was unbearable. "This isn't going to help you right now." He didn't even look at me. "I need to know why, Mom." He opened her email app. My heart sank as I realized it was already logged in. A complete invasion of privacy that felt disgustingly necessary. He scrolled frantically through her inbox and sent folders, finding nothing. Then he clicked on the drafts folder. There was only one item. Its subject line was blank. His hands were trembling so violently he could barely tap it open. He sank back into his chair, the tablet held loosely in his hands. He didn't read it aloud at first. He just stared, his face collapsing as the anger drained away, leaving behind a raw, hollowed-out devastation that was even worse to witness. After a long moment, he looked up at me, his eyes empty. "It's a letter," he whispered. "I don't know who it's for, maybe just for herself." He took a shaky breath and read a few lines aloud, his voice cracking. "I look in the mirror and see a stranger playing a part. The loving wife, the happy daughter-in-law. I'm so good at it, I think I even convinced myself. I love him. I really do. But that love has become the walls of a beautiful, comfortable cage. The girl who wanted to own a small art gallery in a city that felt alive, she's gone. And I'm suffocating." He let the tablet fall to the table with a clatter. The air left the room. It wasn't a note about another man or a secret debt. It was about a quiet, internal death. A despair she had hidden behind a perfect smile. Liam looked at me, the fight completely gone, replaced by a horrifying clarity. "She was drowning, Mom," he said, his voice breaking. "She was drowning right next to me, and I never even saw it." The silence in the dining room was heavier than any sound. The words on the tablet screen seemed to hang in the air, glowing with a terrible light. Liam's shoulders, which had been tense with anger just moments before, were now slumped in utter defeat. He didn't look at me or his father. He just stared at Chloe's unsent confession, reading it over and over as if trying to decipher a language he'd never known he needed to learn. "A cage," he whispered, his voice cracking. The sound was so raw it physically hurt to hear. "She called it a beautiful cage. My God, Mom, I built her a cage." I moved to his side, placing a hand on his back. He flinched, not from my touch, but from the weight of his own realization. "Liam, you can't put all of this on yourself," I said softly. "You built a life you thought you both wanted. You loved her. Did I?" He shot back, finally looking up at me, his eyes swimming with a pain so profound it stole my breath. Or did I just love the idea of us? The perfect couple with the perfect house. I was so busy providing for her, showing her I could give her everything, I never stopped to ask if it was what she actually wanted. I never saw her. I just saw the wife I expected her to be. He pushed the chair back and began to pace, his hands raking through his hair. All those times she was quiet, I thought she was just tired from work. The weekends she wanted to stay in, I thought she was just relaxing. It wasn't rest. She was retreating. She was hiding from me, from this life, right in front of my face. Each word was a confession of his own blindness. The anger had been a shield, and now it was gone, leaving him completely exposed. His guilt was a raw, gaping wound. He wasn't just mourning the loss of his wife, he was mourning the woman he never truly knew. He stopped pacing and snatched his phone from the table. His thumbs flew across the screen with a desperate urgency. "What are you doing?" David asked, his voice gentle. "I can't let that letter be the last thing," Liam said, his voice thick with emotion. He didn't look up from his phone. She needs to know that I see it now, that I see her." He fell silent as he finished typing. With a shaky breath, he hit send. He then dropped the phone onto the table as if it had burned him. On the screen, beneath a short block of text I couldn't read from my angle, a single word appeared. "Delivered." It offered no comfort, just a final, agonizing confirmation that his message was out in the world, waiting for a reply that might never come. The hours after Liam sent his message stretched into an eternity. We sat in the living room, the silence thick and heavy, punctuated only by the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall, a sound I'd always found comforting, but which now felt like a countdown to a verdict. Liam stared at his phone, his thumb hovering over the screen as if he could will a response into existence. My heart ached for him, for the son I had raised to be a provider and a protector, who was only now learning that sometimes love requires setting someone free. Then it happened. A soft chime cut through the quiet. Liam's body went rigid. He took a shaky breath and unlocked the screen. I watched his face, trying to read the microscopic shifts in his expression. His shoulders, which had been tensed up to his ears, slowly relaxed. He didn't smile, but the deep furrow of pain between his brows softened. He looked up at me, his eyes glassy. "She's in Austin," he said, his voice raspy with emotion. "She's safe. She wants to talk." He put the phone on speaker, and a moment later, Chloe's voice filled the room. It was fragile but clear, no longer laced with the strained politeness we were used to, but with a raw, new honesty. "Liam, I'm here, Chloe," he answered, his own voice cracking. "I'm here. I'm so sorry." What followed was the most difficult, yet most necessary, conversation I had ever witnessed. There were no raised voices, no accusations, just a painful outpouring of truth. Chloe spoke of feeling like a ghost in her own life, of her dreams shrinking until they fit inside the four walls of our perfect house. She apologized for not knowing how to say it, for thinking the only way out was to run. Liam listened, truly listened. He didn't defend himself. He simply absorbed her words, validating her pain. He confessed that his love had become a form of control, born from a desperate fear of failing her. He had been so focused on building a beautiful cage that he never stopped to ask if she wanted to be a bird. By the end of the call, there was no simple resolution. There would be no tearful reunion at the airport. They agreed she would stay in Austin, get her own apartment, and find a job. They would talk every week. They would start individual therapy. For the first time, they were giving each other space to breathe. "I love you," Liam whispered, tears streaming down his face. "And I will wait, but I won't push. Your happiness comes first now. For real this time." After he hung up, Liam sat in the quiet for a long time. The oppressive weight of guilt had lifted, replaced by a profound, cleansing sadness. Our family wasn't fixed, but the lie it was built on had been dismantled. Looking at my son, I saw not a man whose marriage had failed, but a man who was finally learning the true meaning of love, not as an act of possession, but as one of profound, selfless release.